and hears somebody say, is Third Base on their way to LA? And she goes, yeah. And the voice says, good, they're dead. This is Louis Burrell. And hangs up.
So basically he came with Hammer like, hey man, this LA and everything, man, and things can happen, you know what I'm saying? You need to holler at me, man, you know what I'm saying? Holler at me for protection. Hammer said, protection for what? See, man, I got 12 bodyguards out there. And for a 5 of them straight killer.
He thought it was better to go with, well, you know what, I'll be honest with you. At the time, Eazy's, his persona, was like, do you go with Suge? He's like, well, he's a gangster, you don't want to get killed. Do you go with Eazy? You hear all the stuff talking about, oh, he was taking the money. So we thought, oh, we'll go with the church boy. We'll go with MC Hammer, but he was the most gangster one of all of them.
You probably think MC Hammer was just some flashy rapper with parachute pants and cheesy dance moves, right? But what if I told you, even Suge Knight, the man who built Death Row Records and intimidated half the rap game, didn't dare mess with him? This is the same MC Hammer who allegedly put a $50,000 hit on a rival rap group for one disrespectful lyric, and rolled so deep, Crip OGs apologized just to stay on his good side. The media made him look like a cartoon, but behind the scenes, MC Hammer was one of the most feared names in hip-hop.
And Hammer, our people looking like, yeah, I'm waiting for you to move. Hammer, hey, what's up? He said, hey man, it's like this. I'll make one phone call, and all this will go away.
Even Suge Knight, the man known for hanging Vanilla Ice off a balcony and running Death Row Records like a warlord, acted differently around Hammer. Back in the late 80s, Suge first crossed paths with Hammer. At the time, Hammer was climbing the charts with his upbeat image and clean lyrics. On the surface, he looked like the softest guy in the game.
And our circus consists of 4 the guys.
Yes.
Is myself, Tupac, and Snoop. So we sat down and we was eating and we was conversating. And me and Hammer go way back. So we was like, yeah, people trying to say Hammer's, shit ain't the bomb no more. So everybody's like, wait a minute, it ain't their decision to say what's good and what's not good. It's our decision. So we said, okay, we finna call Hammer and put Hammer on Death Row. And we gonna go in there and make a record and make Hammer go sell all the records that he normally would sell and show the world, because there's a lot of people imitating what Death Row does.
But by 1994, that image cracked. Hammer dropped The Funky Headhunter, a darker, grittier album that caught the industry off guard. He wasn't smiling in this one. He wasn't dancing in shiny pants. He was letting people know he could get grimy too. That album wasn't just a rebrand. It was a warning shot. And then, in 1995, he took things a step further, signing with Death Row Records. Let that sink in. The same label that housed Tupac, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and was known for its brutal street politics, now had MC Hammer on the roster. There are photos, clips, and interviews showing Hammer and Suge in the same room. But what people noticed most wasn't the collaboration. It was Suge's body language.
So Hammer, everybody's talking bullshit, but you fit Death Row, because you wear the right jewelry, enough cars like us.
That's right.
You like to work hard.
That's right.
And you see you riding with Oakland, you can ride Oakland.
Hard Oak Town.
And we got it over here.
It all started with a few slick words. A diss track from a New York rap group, Third Base, claimed their album was better than Hammer's. But in classic East Coast fashion, they didn't say it directly. They buried it in wordplay. One line in particular crossed the line. The cactus turned Hammer's mother out. To them, it was just a double entendre, a clever jab. To Hammer, it was personal, especially to his brother, Louis Burrell, who didn't just take it personally. He allegedly called Def Jam directly to say one thing: good, they're dead.
So we were saying our album was doper, but we were saying it in New York slick shit. Like we had some slick talk coming out our mouth.
Right.
Hammer thought we were talking about us f***ing his mom.
Oh.
Whoever was on the phone said, hey, is Third Base still coming to LA? And she said yes. And the voice said, good, they're dead, and hung up the phone.
The message was so direct that Def Jam panicked. Russell Simmons hired a streetwise figure named Barefoot Boogie to protect Third Base during their LA promo tour. But even with a bodyguard, things nearly went sideways. While signing autographs at a mall, MC Serch was surrounded. Members of the Crips approached, pulling up their rags, closing in with their hands on weapons. Serch was seconds from getting jumped, or worse, until Boogie stepped in, threw up signs, and de-escalated the situation before it turned into a headline. One of the Crips even told Serch straight to his face, "I love that record, but I was about to smoke you."
Yeah, it's true. There's a hit. Rolling 60 Crips, 30,000 members, $50,000, dead. And it's one dude right in front of me who's got his hand on his ratchet, pulls down his mask, and he goes, yo, man, I love that record, but I was finna smoke you right now, homie. And the dude right next to me comes over, he goes, yo, can I get an autograph, man? He's like, yo, homie, I was finna smoke you too, you know, Pookie didn't say nothing, I was finna smoke you, man. I call Russell. I said, yo, this shit is real. This shit is real. This motherfucker put a hit out on us over some lyrics.
And that should have been it. A warning, a close call, a reason to lay low. But instead, Search went on the radio the next day and called Hammer a B, accusing him of hiding behind gang members instead of squaring up like a man. Hours later, the station received a chilling call. A voice on the other end simply said, Rolling 60s, we're going to kill him. That wasn't a diss. That was a death threat. Third Base bolted out of the station, got in their car, and noticed they were being followed. A second car, full of Crips, tailed them all the way to their hotel. Guns were pointed. Intentions were clear.
Whoever was on the phone said, hey, is Third Base still coming to LA? And she said, yes. And the voice said, good, they're dead, and hung up the phone. Security grabs us. We run out the building. We get into the van. We start heading down the hill. There's two blue cars. And these dudes get out, Mac 11s, pointing at the vehicle. Pookie jumps out, throws his signs up. They get back in, they leave. When we went to sound check, the entire palace, which is next across the street from the Capitol building, you know, is circled by blue vehicles. Because the Rolling 60 got like 50,000 members. And they figure out that the only way to protect us to get into the palace that night is we have to go in as security. So we're in Kevlar, I think it was ACS Security was the name of the security company. We got the jackets, we got the hats, we got dark glasses. I'm saying goodbye to my girl, she's crying.
What started as a few bars in a rap track had now spiraled into real-life consequences, and all signs pointed back to Hammer's camp. But that wasn't the only time someone found out how deep Hammer's ties really went. You know someone's dangerous when even OG gang leaders offer to protect them. That's exactly what happened one night in LA. After a show, MC Hammer and his crew were packing into vans when a wheelchair-bound man rolled up, flanked by a group of Crips. It was Michael Concepcion, one of the original founders of the Crips. He told Hammer he needed to haul at him, said LA was unpredictable and things could happen. Translation, pay for protection or else. But Hammer wasn't some out-of-town rapper playing tough. He looked Michael dead in the eye and said, protection? I got 12 bodyguards. 5 of them are killers.
It's this dude in his wheelchair and about 4 or 5 dudes with him, you know, hanging out. I know they Crips because my cousins all Crips in LA. So I'm like, there's some gangbangers. What they doing out here? He's like, hey, I want to holler at you for a minute, Hammer. Now the thing is, Mike already knew who Hammer was because they did the video. Mm-hmm. We were on the same gang before. So I'm like, what? So basically he came with Hammer like, hey man, it's LA and everything, man, and things can happen, you know what I'm saying? You have to holler at me, man, you know what I'm saying? Holler at me for protection. I'm saying, protection for what? See, man, I got 12 bodyguards out there, and 4 or 5 of them straight killers.
And he wasn't bluffing. Hammer's security wasn't made up of rent-a-cops. These were real street soldiers, loyal, experienced, and ready to ride. Still, Michael kept pressing, told Hammer that if he didn't fall in line, there might be consequences. That's when Hammer shut it all down. Calmly, you don't know who I know. I make one phone call, and all this, gone.
And Hammer, them, our people looking like, yeah, I'm waiting for you to move. Hammer, hey, what's up? He said, hey man, it's like this. I'll make one phone call, and all this will go away.
No threats, no yelling, just facts. The next morning, Michael showed up again. Not to press, but to apologize. That's the level of respect Hammer commanded. He didn't need to throw punches. He didn't need to act tough. The streets already knew what he was capable of.
But when Hammer did come down, he was like, hey, Hammer, let me holler at you for a minute, whatever. Lewis walked past him.
This is Michael Concepcion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me holler at you for a minute, man. Oh, man, hey, bro, I apologize, man. Hey, man, let me talk to you for a minute. And Hammer said, what's up, man? He said, man, I apologize for the thing. I didn't know the people you knew and whatever, this and that, and I apologize for what I did, brother. It's all good. We cool. We good. And Hammer's like, yeah, it's all right.
And while most people only saw the dance moves and the TV appearances, the real ones, they knew Hammer wasn't a joke. MC Hammer wasn't just respected. He was connected, not through hype, not through industry politics, through bloodline. Hammer grew up in East Oakland, one of the grittiest environments in the country. And his family, deeply tied to Felix Mitchell, the legendary kingpin, who ran the 69 Mob, a drug empire that once made over $1 million a month. That wasn't just neighborhood gossip, that was FBI documented reality. Mitchell's crew controlled huge chunks of the city, and Hammer grew up right in the middle of it.
One thing about Hammer from Northern California, and they have a different structure. They are more organized, okay? Felix Mitchell, Mickey Moore, all of them dudes in East Oakland, San Pablo, they have a different structure.
Even after the feds took Felix down in '85, Hammer's world didn't suddenly go clean. He and his brothers had already come up under that shadow. The discipline, the loyalty, the unspoken rules of how things were handled, he learned it young. That's what made the industry's version of MC Hammer so misleading. But despite those roots, despite everything he could have become, Hammer made a choice that no one expected. At the height of his fame, MC Hammer was everywhere: TV, magazines, movies, cartoons. To the public, he was unstoppable. But behind the scenes, the rap world was picking him apart. To some artists, Hammer was the definition of a sellout. Clean-cut, commercial, corporate, not real hip-hop.
The hip-hop that Hammer was doing at the time was not indicative of what we thought was real hip-hop. Native Tongues, NWA, Queen Latifah, Eric B. and Rakim. It wasn't.
One of the loudest shots came from Ice Cube. In 1991, Cube dropped a music video for True to the Game and included a scene showing a rapper ditching streetwear for a flashy sequined outfit. The message was clear. He was mocking Hammer, but what Ice Cube didn't expect was for Hammer to show up. The story goes, someone called Hammer and told him Cube was eating at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Hollywood.
Benito also told a story about Ice Cube, said that Ice Cube, they ran up on Ice Cube at the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
In fact, when Ice Cube, he said it on this show, when Ice Cube came to New York, he came to work with our old producer from the Cactus. Even MC8 from Compton's Most Wanted, on their biggest record, one time gaffled him up. On the second verse, he said they got pulled over bumping the Cactus. But we were about everything else, and they respected the production. And Cube respected what we did. That I would listen to New York radio and not hear De La, and not hear Tribe, but I'd hear MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice.
Hammer and his entourage rolled up immediately, caught Cube just as he was leaving. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't make a scene. He just let Cube know, don't ever pull that SHD again. Cube reportedly looked him dead in the eye and said, no sir, that won't happen again. And that wasn't the only one. Redman made the same mistake, mocking Hammer and his family on a skit from his debut album.
And after Redman's interview, I will never disrespect Hammer. Look, that goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef. Y'all motherfuckers laugh and y'all joke about Hammer. No. That nigga was deep with niggas.
When he came to Oakland, Hammer's crew chased him out. Years later, on the set of Yo, MTV Raps, Hammer confronted him in person. He told him flat out, I don't allow anyone to talk about my mama. You understand me? Redman didn't argue. He just said, yes, sir.
MC Hammer was there. That approached me. He was like, Red, I'm gonna tell you something, you young, but I don't allow nobody talking about my mama. You understand me? I said, yes, sir.
Even years later, he admitted he was lucky to get out of Oakland in one piece. But as the industry kept testing him, Hammer stayed calm, because by then, his reputation already spoke louder than any track. Here's the thing about MC Hammer. He never threw up a set. He never branded himself as a gangster rapper. He didn't need to, because whether it was Too Short, E40, or Fat Joe, The real ones all said the same thing. Hammer wasn't soft. He was solid.
His entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like it was literally
100 people.
More than 100 people, probably.
That's
Like,
actually
it was
how he.
Wait,
That's
but
actually
it
how
was
he,
girls,
yeah.
guys, gangsters,
Yeah.
dancers,
Everybody.
everybody.
Fat Joe remembered running into Hammer at the Vegas airport. Hammer smiled, shook his hand, and then said, "But you know, I still get it poppin' if I have to." 40 wasn't surprised. He just nodded and said, "He's from Oakland. Of course he's connected." That was always the twist with Hammer. He had TV deals, endorsements, millions of records sold, but the people who knew him best never questioned where he came from. Because long before he was famous, he was respected. And respect, in those circles, doesn't come with record sales. It comes with presence, loyalty, and a willingness to do what others won't. But the craziest part, that whole street edge, it wasn't even his plan.
Would you like to have a private conversation with?
Who would I like to talk to the most right now? Vanilla Ice.
What's up, Tupac? What's up? What's up, Hammer? All right.
Hammer, it's so many different things, even Too Short. Hammer had an issue with him. There's people coming out the woodworks saying, "Hey man, Hammer wasn't nobody that you could just run up on like that dancing. Don't get it twisted. You couldn't just act like that was somebody you could run up on," because him and his brother wasn't trying to hear that.
Hammer's story didn't start in a studio. It started in a cramped apartment in East Oakland, where he shared a room with 5 siblings and watched his parents split. To survive, he danced in parking lots, sold baseballs for cash. He mimicked James Brown moves and scribbled rhymes in notebooks. At 11 years old, his life changed. He was doing dance splits outside the Oakland Coliseum when the owner of the A's noticed him and hired him as a bat boy. That's where he got the name Hammer, because players said he looked like Hank Aaron. But his dreams weren't always music. After high school, he wanted to play baseball professionally. Tried out for the San Francisco Giants, didn't make it, so he joined the Navy. 3 years of structure, discipline, and focus, traits he'd later channel straight into his music hustle. When he got out, he went all in, started a Christian rap group, the Holy Ghost Boys, but it didn't take off. Still, he wasn't giving up. He borrowed $20,000 from 2 Oakland A's players and started Busted Records out of his trunk, rehearsed nonstop, hired a full crew, hit every club, every radio station, every DJ booth. He did it the long way, the hard way, the real way, and it worked. By 1988, he had a major deal with Capitol Records. By 1990, he released Please Hammer, Don't Hurt, 22 million copies sold. And suddenly, he was a household name. But even then, with all that fame, Hammer never lost sight of what mattered most.
I know who Hammer was affiliated with, and he wouldn't have to pay to tell somebody to somebody up. Because people would just do it. We from Oakland. Like he wouldn't even have to say it. If somebody was making Hammer uncomfortable, without him saying I'm uncomfortable, somebody around him would have came to you.
For someone with deep street roots and serious weight behind his name, you'd think MC Hammer would use his platform to flex. But he didn't. Even at his peak, with all the power and connections, Hammer never glorified the violence he came from. Instead, he stayed focused on being a positive role model. He spoke to kids, he promoted faith, and he made music that made people feel good without losing who he was. It wasn't the most popular path in hip-hop, but it was the one that let him sleep at night. He saw what the street life could take from people. He saw how fast it could flip. And instead of turning that into a marketing tool, he tried to offer something better. MC Hammer wasn't soft. He wasn't just flashy pants and catchy hooks. He was a street-certified entrepreneur, a disciplined hustler, a man who made the world dance and made the industry fear him. He didn't have to talk tough, because everyone who crossed him already learned the truth. You can call him a sellout, you can call him pop, but you can't call him weak. He came from nothing, rose through structure, moved with killers, and chose to lead with peace. And in a genre built on respect, that makes him one of the realest to ever do it.